Alright, hey, what's going on, guys? So, in for repair today, I have a Nintendo Switch. Let me go ahead and show you guys inside this port. So, let's move the camera around a little bit. So, there we go. Inside this Nintendo Switch port, you can see how damaged it is. We're going to go ahead and replace it. Hopefully, that's the only thing that it needs. With these Nintendo Switches, you can find out that you can start off with the charging port and then run into a whole lot of other issues with them, right? So we'll just go ahead and for now we'll just work on the port and we'll take it from there. Okay, so with these ports, they're a little bit tricky because they have, and I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of videos on these, they have two sides to them. So on the top side that we can see, there is these pins right here, but then right about here there's some more pins, and we have to make sure that all of those pins, when we replace the port with the new port, are all making a connection. If not, then what happens is only one side of these of the actual charging port will work, right? The other side just won't work because it's not connected, obviously. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to remove this port and we're going to replace it with this port right here, okay, which should work just fine. So first thing is first, I like to get some solder underneath or onto some, yeah, you know what, we're going to do it that way anyways. This is not my first time doing one of these. First recording, I believe I might have one on like my Facebook page or something like that. Not quite sure. So let's go ahead and start off by applying some solder, right? And the reason why I do this is it actually makes it easier to remove the old connector if you add new solder to it. So if you never knew that before, there's I guess a little insider secret, I guess, into the repair business, I guess. I'm just turning on my fume extractor. I didn't forget it this time, so we'll go ahead and use it. That sticker is already coming up, so we're gonna remove that in a second here. Just let's continue to, and these I'm just barely touching them up. Like I said, I just want to put some fresh solder on here, and it'll make this connector come off a little bit easier. And there might be other problems, like I said, with this. I don't know yet. I'm just doing this initial repair, and then from there we'll find out what else we need to repair on here. Okay. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna do this test so you guys can hear this, and so I'm gonna test here. And you can hear that short. I think the short, it's shorted to here, but let's disconnect that short. So that way, okay. So when I test from here to here, there's a short. There's not supposed to be a short. I think the short is inside the port. So that's why I'm not really worried about knocking off any components or anything like that to try to relieve that short, because I think the short is inside the port. So in order for me to fix the short inside the port, I have to first remove the port, and after I have removed the port, then I'll double check again to see what's happening, right? That's the way it's always worked for me, and it works out pretty good. So let's go ahead and let's share this. maybe one of you guys can show me where these emojis are. Oh, here we go. I was wondering where they were on, you know, like the computer, but I just finally found it, so it's kind of good. All right, and that should do it. Let's post that. All right, so let's get back to it. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna heat this up and remove this port, and we'll see what happens. Then we'll check for short again. And you can see that that solder is just melted already. And that's why we put the old solder on there, or that's why we put new solder on, to help us soften up the old solder and get these components to come off the board fairly easy. And there we go, we got that port out of there. Okay. And what I like to do is clean out these holes. So I'm going to clean these holes first, and then we're going to test again for the short to see if we've actually relieved the short. If we have relieved the short, then we know that obviously it was inside that, you know, that actual port. Let's cut that piece off. And like I said, I haven't finished off the series where I do the different soldering methods. I will end up finishing up that. This is just not the job for that. This is a job that you have to be very precise and be careful because of the actual port. This port can get you into a lot of problems as far as, you know, customer's device and damaging it. When replacing these ports, you can be in a lot of problems. So I don't want to have those problems today. I don't like those problems at all. If they come, yes, I deal with them, but I try to stay away from those problems. So there we go. I've cleaned it up enough that it's okay with me. Doesn't have to be perfect. I think I've said that before, that, you know, these connectors don't have to be perfect. I mean, you're probably not going to get it to factory perfect. And even in the factory, there's nothing perfect, right? So let's keep going. As soon as I'm finished cleaning, then I'll test around. And then we will add more solder onto these old solder, still the ones that are being shown, which are the ones that were connected to the connector. We'll add new solder to those also, and then we will put the new connector back down, and that should do it. Okay, so let's finish that there and there. Okay, let's test that. And we're going to use here for a ground and test here. I was getting too excited there. Let's test here. And there we go. We don't have a short, right? So that's good. That's the main voltage going into this right here, into the connector for the charging, I believe. So we don't have a short there anymore. That's a good sign. Let's go ahead and let's add some flux, and let's add some solder. Keep slipping. Why? that's about. And this is why I use that bigger tip when it comes down to stuff like this, because you can tell that the smaller tip, it does take, it seems like it's working twice as hard just to get the same job done. So I use the bigger tip for cleaning out these holes and so on and so forth, because it has more heat dissipation across the actual across the pads, or less heat dissipation. That means the heat, you know what I mean is the heat isn't just going away as soon as I touch it on to that connector. So here's our new port right here. Looks good. Let's check out the inside. That looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start heating up our board, trying to get it up to temp. Actually, you know what? Let's do this also. This will really help. So this is something that really helps me get these connectors seated. So if you're doing this kind of repair, obviously if you're a whiz at this, you don't need to do this, but I'm not. You just get some solder onto your tip and just touch these a little bit, you know, just try to get some solder on them just a little bit, just enough to, whenever they touch on the pad, they'll just it'll kind of help bond them together all at once. Right, it'll help them bond. The back ones, those ones you can manually do. You can go in there and just kind of touch them up. But these ones that are in the back, that you know, you're gonna have a hard time if you don't have these seated, you know, to get them seated afterwards, because you're gonna end up melting the port. Not something that you want to do, obviously, but like I said, no whiz, as you can tell. I'm going to turn this way. And that's good for me. I give it about, see the bubbling right here? We'll wait till that stops bubbling. And we should be good. Let's look at the placement, and like I said, to me, that looks good. I'm going to now put some more flux. And then I'll manually touch the back ones up, and I'm going to just go ahead and solder this in. Like that. And if you're, you know, if you're like me, you're not the best at this stuff, this is, you know, one way you can do it and, you know, become pretty Just you know, every time you do it, it comes out pretty good, to the point that you're happy with it. You know, you're not going to bed at night being frustrated and mad because you know that in the morning when you wake up in your shop, you got this repair to still do. Or even if you're at home and you don't have all the equipment, I believe that you still can do it from home with minimal equipment if you're doing it this way. It's not going to take a lot from you. You know, some of the other guys show a little bit more complicated way to do this than this, but I'm no whiz, so I'm doing it the easy way, or at least a way that easy for me. I don't know if it's easy, but surely it's easier for me. I get this job done and I feel good about it when it's finished. So you see no rip pads, and that's because patience and a little bit of flux and pre-solder my previously soldered joints. That one is good and that one is good. These back ones are a little bit bigger, so they take a little bit more heat. There we go. There we go, right there. And I think I'm gonna say that's it for this. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna go back over these right here and just touch them up like that. Just to make sure, right? This one. That there one. Okay, let's try to push on these pins a little bit to make sure that they're not moving. If they're not moving, then my next test will be just to see if, wow, it's been that dark the whole time. It's just to see, good, 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 good. Okay, now let's connect up a charger and let's see what we get from it. Can't believe it was that dark the whole time. Maybe because I'm not paying attention to chat, I can't, you know, didn't even realize that you guys are probably telling me, hey, it's, you know, can you brighten it up? But either way, it's clean and there's nobody in chat, so nobody would have told me. Okay. One more clean. I'm gonna do that one more time or two more times at least. I'm gonna do two more times on this side and then one more time on the back side of this. Because as you're cleaning, the flux is going all over the place. I mean, you're just kind of pushing it around. Dry it up. Dry it up. One more time. Because this is where we did most of our work. The back side, I didn't do any real, didn't put a little bit of flux down, but this is where most of the work happens, and you know, you want to clean it up. So if it ever comes back into you, the area is clean and you can kind of look around and see what's actually going on. So clean, same Q-tip, clean, clean, and there we go. So now for my final test, I will connect it up to my amp meter, and that way I can test to make sure that both sides is pulling. Usually it's about 10 milliamps that either side will pull, even without a battery. Yep, and there we go. So this is about 18. I'm gonna turn it around, give it a second, and either side we're pulling. So I mean, I wish I could show you guys this. I guess I can. Let me just get the selfie cam, right? Because I have selfie. Yep. Let's grab the selfie cam and show you guys this. So, meter. And we're going to disconnect. There you go. So you can see it pulling, and it has stopped. Not sure why. Because I'm on camera. Okay, turn it around. I'm not sure why it's stopping. Maybe something I should look into, but I don't have all the other parts to even go any further than here, because all I have is the motherboard. So I'm gonna call that a fix. And I'm just gonna test to make sure that the battery is getting some voltage up here by the battery, because I know the port is actually going to charge. So let me just test up by the battery and see if I'm getting anything over here. So I'm getting nothing over by the battery, right? Which, like I said before, usually when these charging ports go out on these things, they usually have other issues. So it's not just a charging port that's gonna go. It's usually like a chip somewhere, you know, sometimes even on the other side. So let's test that chip again. The one that we had, not the chip, sorry, that, I guess we're gonna call it a VIA or a test point. Let's make sure that that short is not back, and it's not back, right? So we know that that's good. That's there's no short there. I'm gonna check over here where there's usually a short. So that's sounding like there's a short there. And if there is indeed a short there, then the short isn't from the charging port. The short is probably in this chip. Nope. Chip is good. Yep, this chip is good. Alright, let's follow this trace. Let's follow this trace. Alright, and let's look over here. Here, we're good. That's normal. Yep, so I mean, this is, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like this. this is coming here, 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 there, there. And I think I've seen one video where one of these chips had to be replaced. I'm not sure if that's going to be my issue today. So we're going to leave it. If when I return this back to the other shop, if they, tell me that there's an issue with it, then I will start tackling that. But for now, I don't see a problem with it. I don't have a battery to test it with. So we'll just go from there, right? So thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you on the next video, because I can't go any further with this thing until I get the housing and everything else. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next video.